Keegan Smith here from CoachKeegan.com. Today I'm talking with Tyler LeBaron. He's an expert in molecular hydrogen. It's something that I've been learning a lot about lately. And I thought, why not look for the world leader in molecular hydrogen, someone who understands the topic deeply, to help explain it, to understand it better myself, and also to help you guys get a bit of an idea about molecular hydrogen and what it might be able to do for you. So Tyler's background, a little bit about him, is in biochemistry. He's currently a university professor of physiology at BYU, Idaho. So he's obviously spent a lot of time thinking about science and thinking about how cells work and chemistry and all that stuff that underpins what we're going to talk about today. He's been researching hydrogen since 2009, and I'm going to let Tyler tell us a little bit about his story with relation to that. But firstly, his website is molecularhydrogeninstitute.com. If you go to molecularhydrogeninstitute.com, you can learn tons more about what we're talking about today. So welcome, Tyler, and can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your history with hydrogen?
Yeah, certainly, and thank you for the introduction. It's great to be here. Yeah, I got, like you said, involved with molecular hydrogen back in 2009 when I was first introduced to water ionizers. And as I went through trying to understand the claims and whatnot, I started reading the research articles. And in the research articles, I found that molecular hydrogen was coming up over and over and over again. And so that's when I realized that the benefits were about molecular hydrogen. And so as I continued to study this, I actually did a number of different research projects myself and presented them at a couple of different research conferences. And as you know, I also went to Japan to the Nagoya University, where I studied the molecular mechanisms of hydrogen gas. And that was a great experience. And so now I'm just trying to learn more myself and trying to educate people about the benefits of hydrogen. It's a very exciting area.
Yeah, cool. So what's been your motivation to study so deep into a subject that not many people have really looked too far into, at least in Western science?
You know, maybe that alone is part of my motivation, is that a lot of people don't know about it and aren't necessarily interested because it's such a new area. And I really think it's awesome that a molecule so simple, so small, in fact the smallest molecule, lightest element, can have such an enormous impact on health. And I think that's just marvelous.
Yeah, 100%. It does sound too good to be true when you're learning a bit about it, and it seems like such a big thing not to be much more mainstream. But I guess that's what we're here for today, to sort of educate people and give them a bit more of a background to make informed decisions about, you know, what they do to look after their health. And yeah, that's what it's really all about with my approach and with Coach Keegan. It's really empowering other people to be able to make the right decisions about what they need to do to improve their own health and performance. So awesome to have you here to be able to share a bit about that. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of hydrogen, molecular hydrogen, and sort of what we've thought about it in the past?
Yeah, certainly. You know, hydrogen, discovered, a couple of centuries ago, and actually the first documented excerpt, if you will, of somebody suggesting that hydrogen has therapeutic effects was back in 1798. And that was just, a couple of decades or so after hydrogen was given its name. And then let's see, it'd be 1975 was the next article that showed hydrogen has therapeutic effects. And that was actually done by the departments of biology and chemistry from Baylor University and Texas A&M. And they published an article in Science, and it's really neat. Hydrogen was clear back then, was shown to have some therapeutic effects, but the scientific community, for one reason or the other, didn't take a strong interest in it. But really, in 2007, that's when the research has started growing exponentially, and we have lots of different universities around the world and here in the United States, like from Loma Linda University, Pennsylvania, and some other places that are studying the therapeutic effects of molecular hydrogen. And the reason why 2007 was such a big deal was because that's when there was an article published in the Journal of Nature Medicine, which is, like Science, a very top, highly respected peer-reviewed journal. And so got a lot of scientists and more people are going mainstream with this. And I think it's important to realize that one of the reasons why hydrogen is not considered mainstream per se is generally the market or the public is about 10 years behind the science. And so 2007 is a fairly recent thing for the market. And so 2017, I think we'll see molecular hydrogen all over the place, and it's getting to be like that in places like Japan.
Yeah, it's really interesting to think that this could be quite a common and accepted sort of thing to support health and even facilitate high quality training in Japan and be like completely unheard of in most athletic circles. At least it's just starting maybe to get some attention amongst like antioxidant experts and the people who are researching this stuff. It's still got a while, I guess, to trickle down to sort of when the point where athletes and gym goers and people who are dealing with common health complaints can sort of maybe see some of the benefits of Keegan Smith here from CoachKeegan.com. Today I'm talking with Tyler LeBaron. He's an expert in molecular hydrogen. So Tyler's background, a little bit about him, is in biochemistry. He's currently a university professor of physiology at BYU, Idaho. So he's obviously spent a lot of time thinking about science and thinking about how cells work and chemistry and all that stuff that underpins what we're going to talk about today. He's been researching hydrogen since 2009. And can you tell me a bit about? You said that in Japan they had it was available even in some of the gyms, the public gyms. Was that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, hydrogen, it's a big deal in Japan. It's kind of the buzzword, if you will. In fact, at one of the gyms that I went to while I was there, like you were saying. That there was a hydrogen water dispenser, so you could go and fill up your bottle with hydrogen water. So that was pretty neat. It is a very, very common, very popular thing, and rightly so, because as I mentioned, there's lots of scientific research that are just exponentially growing. A lot of it's coming from Japan. There's been about 80 different human disease models studied where hydrogen is shown to have marked therapeutic effects. About 350 or 400 articles or so, showing molecular hydrogen's benefits.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like it's amazing that there is so much research there, but I guess this stuff does take time, and that's why it's exciting to be able to talk to you today. Let's go into a little bit about why it is that this stuff makes such a difference, and if it's safe.
Yeah, certainly. One of the things to think about with hydrogen, you mentioned antioxidants earlier, and free radicals and antioxidants, that's been a discussion for a long time, and we can talk about more detail about this soon, but just briefly, hydrogen gas has been shown to be an antioxidant. In fact, that was the article published in Nature Medicine, and it's really neat because when hydrogen gas scavenges these radicals, the byproduct it produces is water, as opposed to some other organic compound that needs to be oxidized, rejuvenated, or eliminated, or something, or metabolized, or something like that. When hydrogen gas scavenges the radical, it just produces water, and that's the neat thing. And it's so small. Hydrogen, like I said, is the smallest element, and it's lipid soluble, so it can easily get into the cells and the subcellular compartments where it can scavenge these radicals, that would normally damage the DNA and cause problems.
Where does hydrogen come from, other than from the form of a supplement?
Yeah, so great question. I mean, you could like you could bubble hydrogen gas into water or something and drink that, or you could just inhale hydrogen gas, or you could like some magnesium metal or some of these alkaline earth metals. They will actually react with water to produce hydrogen gas, because water is H2O and hydrogen is H2, so there's hydrogen there. So when these alkaline earth metals react with the water, just produces hydrogen gas, H2 gas. And so there's lots of ways it comes also from bacteria, like actually in the intestines of humans. A lot of hydrogen gas produced, and actually that goes back to your question earlier about the safety of hydrogen. Is it safe? And very interesting, the bacteria in the GI tract produce up to 10, even 15 liters of hydrogen per day. Now, when we consume hydrogen-rich water through a beverage, we're only getting around 50 milliliters to 200 milliliters of extra hydrogen. So nowhere compared to the 10 liters that the bacteria are producing. But for some reason, just taking that extra addition of hydrogen through drinking it in water, it produces marked therapeutic effects, and it appears to be something to do with the homeostasis issue, and that's why you get such marked benefits, even though you're taking a relatively very small amount of hydrogen.
This might go. Why is it so exciting to have hydrogen sort of come on the scene now? And just speculate a little bit. Like, what impact do you think this possibly could have?
I think this is one of the most amazing and important discoveries that science has come across, because hydrogen appears to be so simple, so easy, so easily acceptable, and have so many benefits. And I just have to echo, the words of a review article in Free Radical Research, where the author said, "It is not an overstatement to say that hydrogen's impact on the therapeutic and preventive medicine could be enormous in the future." That's where I see it. I mean, we have lots of different studies with things like metabolic syndrome, hypercholesterolemia type things, dyslipidemia, high blood glucose levels. All these types of things where hydrogen is showing to helping to potentiate the action of insulin, helping to translocate GLUT4 transporters to lower glucose levels, helping to regulate cholesterol and fatty acid uptake. It's very significant, and in fact, hydrogen appears to be a novel signaling molecule. Actually can alter the cell metabolism type thing, and we're just working hard right now to find the actual primary targets of where hydrogen is actually binding to. And personally, and I know others, research as well, believe that when those targets are actually found, hydrogen gas is going to be subject to a Nobel Prize. It is a big deal, and it's very exciting to the area of us scientists.
I mean, exciting to the area of scientists, but I mean, I wouldn't be on air to try and, excite scientists. For me, it's exciting because it actually works, and I've been using it, over the last 2-3 months, and in a tablet form that I came across through a friend, and he said give it a try, and I spoke to a natural medicine doctor who'd been using it. It sounded worth giving a try. It sounded safe. So I tried it, and it's been a remarkable experience. It's the biggest thing I can say. It's not like caffeine. It's not like it doesn't give you any major kind of buzz. What it does is it makes you feel normal after doing things that you shouldn't feel normal. So, like, if you do really high lactate work or high volume of gym work, where in the past I would have probably had some kind of a hangover feeling, like after really hitting the gym hard, and some central fatigue that just takes some time to get rid of. It just doesn't seem to hang around like it should with this molecular hydrogen. And to be honest, I've been doing training that just doesn't make any sense. Like I'm training harder with heavier weights and more consistently than at any time in my life. Like even when I was early 20s or late teens and I was training, I couldn't handle what I'm doing at the moment. So it's pretty weird, but also pretty exciting. And thinking about the implications of this for sports. And people who want to just go to the gym and be healthy, and also for people who are dealing with health issues that might be improved by it, it's really exciting. And whenever we sort of talk about this stuff, people are obviously going to be somewhat skeptical, like who's making the money, why isn't this stuff really mainstream? If it's got potential for helping things like diabetes, everyone's got diabetes just about. Now, like it's becoming so common for people to have issues with blood sugar, but I guess what it comes back to, like, can you patent molecular hydrogen?
You can't patent hydrogen itself, no. But I mean, people are trying to patent, different, methods of producing hydrogen. That can be patented. Yeah. But yeah, it's not going to be mainstream until it becomes mainstream. I mean, it takes time. We have hundreds of studies showing this stuff, but it takes time. But right now, like yourself, many people are trying these products and they're experiencing amazing benefits. It makes sense. There's an actual physiological and biochemical mechanism for hydrogen, and some of the things that you explained about being able to train harder, train longer, that kind of stuff. There's rationale for that with some of these studies that show, how when you train really hard and you start getting to overtraining, you have a release of lots of, pro-inflammatory cytokines and whatnot. Well, hydrogen has been shown to decrease pro-inflammatory cytokines, as well as to actually increase anti-inflammatory cytokines like interleukin-10. So there is rationale for a lot of the results that people claim they're receiving on these hydrogen supplements.
I guess that leads us into a little bit more about what are the mechanisms, that this can work by. We talk about, we've touched on antioxidant, we've touched on anti-inflammatory, we've mentioned cell signaling. Can you give us a little bit more detail about how it works in these different ways?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Let's just come back to its antioxidant effects. The area in science of free radicals and antioxidants, the redox signaling, has been a top area for a long time. And what they're finding actually is free radicals, they are very, 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 very important to our health. And in fact, the Nobel Prize winner who came up with the DNA structure, the double helix, he actually just submitted an article that talked about one of the reasons for diabetes is a lack of free radicals, and it has it makes a lot of sense. For example, hydrogen peroxide is needed to have correct protein folding. When you exercise, you produce lots of free radicals, and those free radicals, like the superoxide anion radical, is a potent stimulus for mitochondrial biogenesis. So you get more, mitochondria, so you can exercise longer and better. So what could happen potentially if you take large doses of conventional antioxidants like vitamin C per se, you could potentially scavenge those radicals and therefore negate the training adaptations, the benefits of your training. And in fact, there are a couple of articles that show taking high doses of vitamin C totally negate the benefits of endurance training. And that's huge. Well, so what about hydrogen? Is hydrogen going to cause those same effects? Well, research does need to test this, but it doesn't appear like it. And the reason why is because those signaling molecules are specifically things like the hydrogen peroxide, superoxide anion radical, and some other ones. Those radicals, hydrogen gas does not scavenge. It does not even phase them. Hydrogen is selective. It only scavenges the hydroxyl radical. And the hydroxyl radical is the most cytotoxic or cell-damaging radical there is. And it damages DNA, it causes cell death, it's a bad radical all the way around. And hydrogen gas can specifically and selectively scavenge just that radical. So you don't get the problems that some of these other antioxidants may be causing by scavenging too much antioxidants. Or radicals. Does that